Good looking property. So here's my current play. I could take it down and I could be egotistical and think that, I'm invincible and, I could find a buyer for everything. I could. I've done that before and half the time it works. You've seen it. The other half, Ian pays the price. So my current strategy is I'm just connecting with friends, wholesalers in the area. We're going to go walk the property. He's going to go walk the property Saturday, and we may just co-wholesale it for $5,000 assignment fee, 2,500 each. You know, um, I was just wondering if am I letting go of something that's possibly there? Is this worth a little more effort? I think that's my question.
Well, the problem is you're upside down and there's no cash flow.
Yeah,
You're 0 for 2. You got to
yeah,
get one of those two. But you could buy it and you could, I mean, buy it sub two, and then you could turn around and sell it as a financed property. You
right.
could turn around and sell it yourself and say, listen, uh, $2,000 is the payment or whatever it is.
Hmm.
I'll sell it to you for and here it comes with a loan, so you don't have to worry. You just have to make the payment. So you're selling a house and the loan. You're financing
Yes,
it. That gives you higher value. You can put a bigger price on it, like 240, and then get
yes,
the difference between that and the 217
yes.
as cash, and then you just hand them the payment coupon book and say adios.
I
It's
like
only
that.
it's the only play I see. There's two plays. That's the best, easiest, cleanest, because those are easy to sell. If you advertise, I've got a house for sale in great condition and 100% financing for you,
I like that.
you'll get phones will ring off the hook. You just need a decent down payment. What's a decent? Well, it's going to be 34,000 or whatever it is.
Yeah. And just knowing this part of San Antonio, will it command that? Say minimum of
Yeah, well, that's
2,000.
the thing, but it's worth a try. Now, the other angle is, and I've done this a couple of times, more than a couple, probably 4 or 5 times. Um, in fact, there's two other ways. 16 times I have bought a house that was upside down or close to upside down, and I got the seller to give me money plus the house for free. So the best one was the one in Visalia, California, where they gave me 16 or $18,000 plus the house. And
Mm.
that was a good deal. But people like, oh, that can't be done. I ended up training my acquisition people specifically how to do that. And I got every single one of them over 15-year period of time to buy a house that way. So it is possible. Listen, I can take it, but you're upside down. Your choice is, do you want a permanent foreclosure on your record because you can't make the
Exactly.
payments now, and
Right.
that will keep you from ever buying a house? Or would you rather write a check to us to cover the deficit, um, whatever you want to call the deficit? If it's 5 years of
Hmm.
$300 a month, it's going to be 17, 18,000, whatever. Or if it's the difference between the 207, the 217 that's really owed or whatever, check for 10,000, something like that. You can do that. The other way is I had people where there was a shortage, there was equity in the property, but there was a shortage in the rent because of high
Mm.
taxes. And
Okay.
I was able to get them to send me a check every month for the difference. Now, the idea was I wasn't going to make any money on the rent, even with their payment, but it had a significant equity play. And it was during a period of time from like 2004 to six when the values went up. And so I ended up turning out selling it for a much higher price.
And you just carried, I mean, like, yeah, zero cash flow. Okay. But knowing that it's zero cash flow, but yeah, you still had to hold it for a year, two or three, right? While that happened, while the equity kind of sizzled, I guess. Um, there was still some carrying costs, I suspect, as far as like having to evict or I don't know. Was there any carrying costs? Like even though it's zero, I just look at zero cash flow and I think of negative because it's always something that comes up.
Yeah, I mean, there's always something that comes behind, but you got a property. I think the ones that I was talking about back in central Southern California, um, we were dealing with $400 to $600 a month in cash flow. Now these were where there was $800 payments, and there was
Hmm.
still $400 to $600 of cash flow.
Yeah. Wow.
So I mean, not there wasn't that amount of money, but by selling it with seller finance ourselves, we could generate that much more. We made it that way, or we got a
Mhm.
big down payment. So um,
Right.
I wouldn't worry about it if it's got zero cash flow, because you've got an asset sitting there that's being paid for almost 100%, maybe 98%, or maybe 101% or whatever, but you're getting it paid for. And in a couple of years, you're going to get a check for 40, 50, $60,000. So it's
Mm.
like someone's going to give you a luxury car. You're not going to have to make any payments. It has to sit for 3 years, but then you're going to get it free and clear.
Hmm.
Would you do
Yeah.
that?
And that's why, it's that risk. Like, and if anyone who's listened to it, that's the risk. I could take the quick 2,500, and I think my buddy, he said, I might just take it down myself, Ian. I'm gonna go walk it and just let you know. Like, otherwise we'll co-wholesale it. But it's like, it sounds like there's a market possibly for it, and he knows something I don't. And should I just sit on the sidelines or be happy with my 2,500, or do what Jeff's talking about and, you know, put it out for an extra 20, 30 grand more, get that as a down payment. Even if there isn't any cash flow, I got 20, 30 grand, and there could be money on the back end. As far as selling the note though, because there's no equity, even though I'm forcing equity in there, Jeff, maybe that's a question. Say I hold that for 6 months or a year and I'm able to sell it for, the balance is 217. Let's say I do 249 now. Okay. And there's still some equity. Um, does the note buyer, do they get their own appraisal, or the fact that
You
there's
can't, you wouldn't be able to sell that to a note buyer because
yeah,
there's not enough by the time they discount it to cover it. So
agreed.
what you got to do is you've got to sell it to a buyer as an actual full sale. This is a full sale. I'm selling my house. All you got to do is
Unfinanced.
give me $20,000 down. I've already got the bank financing in place. Here's the coupon book. Just start writing checks at the end of each month. It's
Right.
yours. We're going to put it in your
Yes.
name. You got a loan, 100% loan, and you got a house, and you're making payments. And any renter in their right mind would jump on something like, I can
Hmm.
get a house and payments. Remember, this is equivalent. What we're doing here is equivalent to the buy here, pay here car model, which everybody has these lots. Sometimes not the best part of towns, but you see these big blow up giant 50-foot, things, and come in, we finance, buy here, pay here. People go into those places and they need a car, and they could give a rat's patoot about the cost. All they're interested in is how much money I have to give out today to drive off with this car today, and what's my monthly payment going to be. And when it's done, it's done. And that's the same thing here. You're just buying something and you're quick flipping it for a 20,000. It's consider it like a wholesale, but a little more complicated. But man, those things, that's the hottest possible um, way you can sell a house, by putting an ad. I have a house that's in great shape. Here's pictures of it, um, and you don't have to go to the bank. I'm the bank. I'll give you
Hmm.
100% financing on what's left. I need a down payment, and that's it. You
Wow.
don't have to go to the bank.
I think I need to cancel my Saturday morning walkthrough with my friend and be like, you know what? I'm just keeping this.
I've seen it happen many times. You'd be shocked. People will way overpay for deals like that, and that's how to get in and get out. You're done, man. Cash the $20,000 check and move on. Go to the
Yes.
next deal. You,
Right.
you don't have any tenants, toilets, or termites. You don't have a bank issue. You have nothing. It's like, listen, I got this deal. There's a couple of groups out there. This is all they do. These kinds of things. 100%. One of the big wholesale. It used to be called Market Pros in the Del Marva, and I know these people. They're good people. They were huge in wholesale. They were doing between 1,500 and 2,000 houses a year wholesaling, and they converted a ton over to this model. And they ended up, they made a fortune on this because they were making more than they were making on wholesale by just selling these houses that were, overburdened, for lack of a better term. And people will drive for miles to see a body burn. This is one of those examples where they will go wherever there's a house that I don't need to go to a bank to get financing. This guy will be my lender. I'll take that every day and twice on Sunday. And so that's how you got to look at it. These are golden deals that you can make money on. And if you can't sell it for whatever reason, which makes no sense to me, I've never, ever, ever not been able to sell one of these types of models, this type of financial model. But if for some funky reason it didn't, it didn't sell, you just go back to the seller and say, yeah, I couldn't make it work. Sorry.
Yeah.
You were going to let it go into foreclosure anyway. You want me to do that, or you want to take it back? Because this is what, go back to, Kevin, go back to the prop stream on this one. We saw this yesterday's call, and I think we saw this on Tuesday's call. I want to point out something you're going to see a lot on prop stream. Let me grab my annotation here.
Computer best.
All right.
Can you see?
Look at this. Yeah, let's see here.
Where do you want to go?
Well, I was trying to get the annotation thing.
So see, it's I think since I'm
yeah, it may not
we'll
work.
see that. Talk me through. I'll circle as needed.
Up here in the upper right corner, equity estimated negative $3,734. Right there in the upper right. We saw one yesterday. We saw one the day before. You're getting houses now that are upside down. These people bought this house. This is going to be a good lesson here. They bought this house 2.5 years ago. So they bought it at the peak. The values have dropped dramatically. Just look, in the last year, this thing has dropped 10% or more, gone from 221 to 207. And Texas has got a little bit of a problem, and it's going to become worse because their taxes are so high on the property tax. Now, you save by paying no income tax and all that kind of stuff, but it kills home ownership by having now people who are living in it, buying it, and they're going to live in it. They don't know any of this stuff from Adam's House Cat. I mean, $1,600, $2,000, whatever I got to pay, I'll do it to get a home where I don't have to go to the bank. My credit's not at risk. All I got to do is make payments. And so they don't care if they're paying $2,300 versus $1,700 as the going market, because this is not a rental. You're not in the rental space. So you're not comparing the monthly price to what's really going on, which is I'm selling you a house and I'm the bank. And I'm going to finance 100% of the purchase, for almost 100% of the purchase price for you. Less the down payment, I'll finance everything else for you. And by the way, this has got a loan that instead of 30 years on it, we're going to give you a loan that's only got 27 years on it. You're going to be able to pay this off 3 years faster because you're going to give them the coupon book. They're going to keep making payments. So this is something I would encourage everybody to look after, especially, I'm not sure, the gurus here, probably Kevin's the best guru, if there's a way to sort by opportunity, negative, equity. But if there is, I'd be hitting those guys up. I'd be dialing, smiling. I'd be SMS texting. I'd be emailing them. I would do anything to get a hold of those because they're screwed. They can't think like we think because they've never been trained. So they're like, my only hope is to, find some idiot and that mode of thinking where, the greater fool here, and you still see some in Florida, you said, where they think their houses are worth all this and, a can of bacon too. It's not. That stuff's dying. There's still some in Florida. There's nothing like that in California anymore. People are realistic. In most states, they're getting more realistic, but they know they've got a problem. And these guys who bought 2-3 years ago, they're in trouble because 2 years ago, 23, let's say, rising interest rates were already rising. 22, they were starting to rise.
Right.
So instead of that 2.8% mortgage we looked at yesterday, now you got yourself a 6% mortgage, and you're jacked. You got nothing you can do with that as the owner. But you, as the transactional engineer, as the creative finance genius, I have a solution for you, Mr. Seller. It's very easy. You can walk away. Give me the deed. You walk away. I'll take it from here. And it is the easiest thing in the entire business of real estate investing to do. literally the simplest, but there's only unique periods of time when you can find these things a lot in volume. We're in it right now. 2 years ago, rates were high. They had 6.5% mortgage. They can't make that payment. They got something else going on in their life: death, divorce, taxes, bankruptcy, job loss, medical issues, family issues, having to move, something like that. And so you can just step right in there and you can solve not only the seller's problem, but the buyer's problem. You feel pretty good about doing that too, because you are helping two families.
Right.
And you're getting paid handsomely for that.
I'm sharing just those filters. So property details, I don't know what detail I'm asking for. But let's just say I can go here to Bexar County, Texas, where San Antonio is, or you can go to do it
Yeah.
here.
Is there a negative value and equity? Is there a section there that allow you to?
So I can do, it's estimated equity. I can leave it blank, but here's where you get the like 100% negative equity sort of thing. So let's just maybe make the only filter be, you want to put a minimum, or do you want to put whatever we got?
Put a maximum of 10%.
Maximum of 10%.
Because that'll bring in anything under that.
Right. So we have 47,000 properties. Let me see if I can, do we want to filter down anymore?
Yeah, let's drill down here. We got a few minutes. Let's just drill down and try this exercise, and let's see what we can find.
Residential, single family. Maybe that'll get rid of some of the commercial. Me personally, I'm gonna say owner occupied versus just like a trust, like myself as an investor or corporate. So owner occupied.
Okay,
yes.
you got that list over on the right side. Whoop, it just disappeared.
So now we got 42,000 properties, right?
Sort that list, if you can, by negative equity, if you from lowest to highest. Like this second one right here, they're upside down almost 27,000.
Mm-hmm.
And these other guys got 9,000, 5,000. That's nothing.
Right. Yep. So
there's another one right there.
16 -7. Yeah.
Yeah. I would focus on that.
Mm-hmm.
I would create an email program and I would send these people emails, or I would text them, or I would just, old school. There's two old schools. One of them is get on the phone and call. The other old schools is go knock on the door.
Yeah.
Door knocking is going to, in 26 and 27, door knocking is going to be the hot deal, in my opinion. Because rents are dropping, prices will drop, but prices aren't going to drop as fast as the rents. The rents are going to drop because there's lots of rental property options with all those new apartments got built over the last 3 years. So, you've got, but still, if somebody's paying $1,800 in an apartment, here they have a chance to own a house and pay $2,200, they'll figure out how to come up with that other $400 or $500.
Right.
You just got to go source the product, and it's there. There's one right there. Negative 21,793 on 172,000. That's 15% upside down.
Mm-hmm. I was hoping to get a shorter list, right? Or here's what I'm learning with the filters, Jeff. Deals that I want. So a lot of these negative equities, because they have 3 mortgages. They have the 2 mortgages, the HELOC, this, that, and the other. So let's just see if we could be a deal that we want. A maximum open mortgage of 1, and they're still behind.
You can do multiple mortgages too. It's even better because with a multiple mortgage, you have a chance to actually create equity.
Tell me more.
Yeah. This is also something I focused on a lot in the early 2000s, and especially into 2012 to 14, when the kind of bottom hit. You've got 3 lenders stacked on there. Typically, HFC was at the bottom. HFC or one of the other ones, Hong Kong, Shanghai Bank, stuff like that. These guys they would just bottom feeders, and they'd put out big loans, and they would take, they even put it on their site at one time. Listen, give us 5 cents on the dollar and we'll sell it to you. You just take that note after you own the house and say, listen, I'm going to stop paying on this note. You're owed $17,000, but there's $192,000 above you. So if you want to get control of the house, by law, you have to pay off the 2 people above you. plus any property taxes, any government liens, IRS stuff. Or you could just take that 17 and I'll bring you a check for $500 and we're done. You give me a reconveyance on that deed of trust or that mortgage, and we're adios on that deal.
Wow.
That's what I would do.
I like that. If I can narrow down this 796, let's just say an interest rate of less than 4. Let's just see what that does. And we still have negative 161 properties still. See if I just scroll through this and find the minimum or the negative equity. Yeah, I like it. This is kind of the next strategy, Jeff. So thank you for fueling.
I can tell you there's more things I forgot than I've ever told you guys, but as we have these calls and you quiz me, I'm like, oh yeah, I did that.
You can do that.
And this was successful. This is not hard to do. It's just the market's changed after 14, until basically last year, early this year, when we peaked, and now we're going to start going down again. So we're in that ideal period of time when you should be looking at. This is the time when real estate investors who can do creative financing, we call it transactional engineering. This is the time that those real estate investors become wealthy. The most wealthy friends I've got in this business are people like Bruce Norris. Bruce Norris, for 45 years, has bought on all the dips and has sold on all the peaks. And some of them he's bought the same house 4 or 5 times. And he uses this same model. He just waits till the market's bottom and he goes in and cuts deals for no money down, take over the thing. He'll clean it up, put it as a rental for 3 or 4 years. The market goes back up, doubles in price in Southern California, and he sells them. And he's made probably hundreds of millions of dollars doing that.
I'm game. I like it. Okay.
That's a good extra strategy. Sergey asked, is this still going to be subject to structure? Yes. With negative value? Yes. It's exactly what it is.
Right.
So these people who want, they're like, oh, I want above the top market and I want, cash. I want all this cash because I got to go do something else. I just tell them, you're never going to get that. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I believe I owe it to you to tell you the truth. There's no chance in hell you're going to get anything close to you're looking for. Those days are gone. That's adios. You're not the same today as you were when you were 12 years old. Everything changed there too. So, and you're going to have to, get with reality. And here's what that means. Reality today for them is going to be better than reality in 3 months or 3 years. They're at the high water mark right now, even though it's slid the last 12 months. They're not going to get a better position going forward. So that's why I tell people I have no hesitation. I was just talking to one of my purchasing agents today, and I said, "Listen, don't beg or grind or hustle to get any extra deals because you'd be able to buy that house. I can guarantee it by next summer a lot cheaper than it is today. There's no market going up again. People today who own homes, majority of them bought 2000 to 2025, or a big chunk of them. There's probably the biggest chunk was before that, but that people in the last 5-6 years, those are the guys that are all going to get hammered. They're going in the dunk tank, and you have a chance to pull them out and dry them off and send them on their way, but they're not going to get a second shot at the apple. And if they lose it, and it's, I've been there and done that. I mean, there is like no air, no space between hope and loss. It happens, it's like a hope, boom. That's it. That was the day you missed. Now it's loss. So the longer you wait, the worse it's going to get for you. Right. I can do something with it today, but I can't tell you for sure that I do something even at a lower price in 6 months. And if you feel lucky, use the old Clint Eastwood. You feel lucky, sucker, let it go. Wait 6 months. Go see what you can do, but keep my number because I might still buy this property 6 months from now after you've tried everything and you beat your head against the door
Yes.
and the market keeps slipping. People, they live on hopium. Oh yeah, it went down this last year, but it'll go back up next year. No, it won't. It's almost impossible. Unfortunately, there's almost nothing because the mortgage market is so convoluted. There's almost nothing that the federal government can do short of, buying houses and selling them with their own financing, creating all there's no money. There's no money, there's no appetite for that. Nobody wants to get in the middle of a whirlpool that's going down. So we're this generation right now, same generation I saw in 2014, the same thing I saw in 2000. Basically every 14 years or so is the cycle. You'll hit peaks every 14 years, you'll hit bottoms every 14 years. Well, 14 years we're at COVID pushed that out a couple more years, but think about it. 14 years from 14 is 28. We're coming up there. It's been pushed, but all that push did, all that free government money and all of those forbearance and bailout deals, all that did was just delay the inevitable. Nothing's going to change. Interesting. And we're the only guys who can make money on this thing because these other guys don't know. They don't understand. And, I've seen tons of real estate agents. I've seen government people tell me, well, that's not legal. You can't do that. Of course you can. Where do you come up with that shit? You're just making it up. Of course you can. I've done this thing for 3,000 times in 26 years.
Yeah.
And my mentors have done them 5,000 or 6,000 times over 40 years. So I know they can be done. I do them all the time.
All with attorneys.
We do them in land business. We do them here, everything.
Love it. Sergey, I saw you had a hand up. What's on your mind, man?
How are you, gentlemen?
Yeah, man. What's going on?
Yeah, not much. It's very useful information. Jeff, and I have a question. If
Sure.
I, for example, find a deal with negative equity, so technically I can sign subject to deal, asking for 90 days before closing, and I can start marketing this property right away.
If they're not now, I know you haven't done this, but when you've done it enough as I've done, I don't wait 90 days. If this is going to be a good deal, and I know I can get this thing sold because everything that you can sell where I can give you home ownership and you don't have to go to the bank. I'm the financier, and all you need is a reasonable down payment and the house is yours. You don't ever have to put your line, you don't have to sign on for a loan, nothing. I would grab those as quick as possible and I'd put them on the market as quick as possible because you'll turn around. You wait 90 days, it's just 90 days before you get your hands on a $20,000 payday. You want to wait an extra 90 days or do you want it next week?
Right.
I think what Sergey is asking though, and so Gordon was talking about earlier, Jeff, like I just go ahead and close them. If you go ahead and close them, if you know they're going to be a deal, right? I'll go ahead and cough up the $5,000 needed, 10 grand. But there was a time that I didn't have that. There might have been a time you didn't have that. I think in Sergey's case, not having it, Gordon maybe not having it, like still the 90 days, is that enough time to find someone who does have it, right?
Yeah.
But
But remember, you're buying when you buy an upside down house, you're not giving them $5,000. You're not giving them $2,000. You're giving them relief from next month's $927.13 payment. That's all you're giving. You're going to get them out of the whirlpool. It's sucking them towards a foreclosure, which will be almost a death knell. Foreclosures are worse than bankruptcies anymore in terms of getting a new mortgage. So you're going to keep them out of that cesspool of foreclosures. You'll stop the bleeding right now and you'll take it and make payments from here on out. But I'm not giving you any money. You're giving me an asset that I'm buying higher than it's worth. And we know that the values are going down next year, not up. So I'm buying into a run at the bank,
yes,
which is dangerous. But if you know what you're doing, think about it like this. So here's one of my favorite movies. It's a Wonderful Life. And if you, for those of you who've seen that movie, it's a Christmas movie. It's done in like 1946. Jimmy Stewart, the big money grubber guy during the Potter was his name. During the Great Depression, people were running on the bank and they wanted to get their money out. He offered them 50 cents on the dollar for their stock. It was back then you had, when you used a bank like a savings and loan, you became a member. Your money was, a piece of ownership. He was buying those things at 50 cents on the dollar. It's exactly what the smart guys during the Depression or the run on the banks did. It's exactly what they did. Those are the guys that make a ton of money. We're in that position right now. We can do it without having to write a check for 50 cents on the dollar.
Mm.
We can create wealth out of thin air just because of your knowledge.
Yeah, so Sergey, I hope this helps, and Gordon, if you're still with me. So you're just in it for closing, and sometimes you can get an attorney just to close this for $1,500, and then you start taking over their $927 a month payment.
That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's mind blowing. I like it.
yeah,
Yeah. And you say, listen, I can even tell your payment. Your payment's gonna be 927.13. I got the book. And you only got to pay 27 more years. It's not a 30-year loan.
mm-hmm.
And all you got to do is give me $20,000 and this thing's yours. You're getting not just a house, but you're getting financing. You know what financing costs today? Just to get a loan, is like 2-3 points in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
So, on a $200,000 house, it's going to cost you $6,000. You don't have to pay that. You being the buyer, you don't have to pay any of that stuff. You don't have to go apply. You don't have to give me your paycheck stubs. You don't have to explain why your medical bill that you didn't pay back in 1974, shouldn't affect you. You don't have to do any of that crap. You don't need an appraiser. You don't need anybody up your skirt blowing smoke. Nothing. It's you just buy it subject to, I'm going to take your house. I'll relieve you of that $927 a month burden, and then I'll sell it and take care of it my way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to take that payment coupon book from you and keep making payments.
Jeff, if I buy subject to, I have to sell as an owner financing, right?
No, we're talking
You're
about
buying
financing
subject
just for
to, you're
Texas.
selling, you're not even selling with any financing. You're selling for cash. The cash is the 20,000 or 30,000 that you get out of your buyer up front. All the rest that you do is you deed the property to them. And this is where you use a quitclaim deed. You can do a warranty deed if you want, but you can do a quitclaim deed. We don't buy like we sell. We don't want to buy on a quitclaim deed, but we can sell on a quitclaim deed. So you turn around and you just send that, you just give them the coupon book and say, here's your house, enjoy. Here's the keys. Here's the coupon book. Adios. You don't hear from them ever again.
Wow.
And some lucky family has been able to buy a house in decent shape and never have to go to the bank.
Jeff, can I be worry war for just a second? I know I shouldn't worry about this. But I worry about like selling these sub 2 deals to these wholesalers because that's a big thing now at Pace Morby. And so they end up dispositioning it. I get a wholesale assignment fee because I locked up the sub 2 deal. Great. But like, here's this guy is my friend, handyman, right? Oh yeah, I'll do you right. And I'm gonna walk away with a clean 5,000, let's say, or 2,500 because or 20 grand, let's just say, if I go ahead and do the owner finance type of thing, deed the property to him. But I mean, like that seller, my friend, the handyman, is hoping that that stranger I just sold it to, I'm never going to talk to again, is continuing to make payments on him. You know what I mean? That's where, like, knowing this guy, I feel kind of weird about that.
Well, here's the thing. When you buy a property and you use our forms, there's a big disclosure in there that says, listen, the bank could call this thing due. There's a lot of reasons. Use that same thing with your buyer. The same thing. You're now the seller instead of the buyer. And so it's the same thing. Hey, the bank could potentially call this thing through, but they're not going to do it. Just it's not happening. The banks, they got nothing. There's no There's no advantage to them to take a performing loan and turn it into a non-performing loan. They got to explain that to their shareholders. So you had somebody who'd paid you for 3 or 4 years in a row on time, and you all of a sudden declared it all in default, and now we got to pay all this money for foreclosure, pay for lawyers, and we're going to lose our ass. So why did you do that? That vice president at that bank, he not got a job tomorrow. He's out on the bread line because he was an idiot to do that. They don't do that anymore. They don't. They've cleaned this thing up so they don't have these idiots. Or more importantly, I think was as a result of Sarbanes-Oxley, which was I think a pretty good deal. You know, they basically took away the incentives for banks to foreclose on their own loans because banks, especially Countrywide, Norwest Mortgage, there was 3 or 4 big ones. Countrywide was the worst by far. These guys were repossessing, they were foreclosing on houses because the market was still high, and they'd turn around and they'd try and make extra money on their deal. You know, they'd put a high price as a minimum option, nobody buy it. Great, take it back, we'll turn around and sell it. And they were enriching themselves because of their bad acts. Well, Sarbanes-Oxley cut that off on a national basis. Banks, you're no longer entitled to take advantage of these people. You're getting the house back. You can do what you want with it, but you're not entitled to take that house away to make money. You've crossed the line, the ethical line, when you do that. And so they stopped that. So that was the biggest reason that banks, and I had 2 called on me in early 2000s. That was the biggest reason they were doing that, because they were like, hey, this thing's got 60,000 equity. I'll foreclose. I'll make it so nobody else can buy it at auction. I'll take it back and I'll turn around and sell it, make some money. It was a scam, in my opinion, and it got caught by finally, our Congress acted on it and stopped it. And so there's no longer anything today that allows these guys to go out and just take advantage of somebody else's problem. You just can't do it.
Wow. Pretty cool. All right. Well, I may want to keep this one in the portfolio. So thank you for helping me deep dive on that, Jeff. That was cool.
Yeah. Kevin and Mel, you guys ought to clip this and you can use it on the YouTube channel. But it's, this is the way to go in 2026. This is what I would focus on. I would look for things. I mean, you always look for things that got a lot of equity, but it's a lot easier to find stuff that's got low to no equity or negative equity right now. And you have options up the wazoo with those things. You got a lot more options. Remember, there's 15 ways to buy, 15 ways to sell. We only talk about 2 or 3 in most calls. This is getting into that deeper list of other ways to make money. This is the one where I'm going to start up another acquisition team here in January after the holidays are over. And we're just going to focus on that. Focus on people in default, focus on people upside down.
And Gordon, if you're still with us, notice how, again, my handyman and I are friends, but he wasn't expecting anything. He just wants out, where your owner finance guy, my owner finance guy who I'm trying to deal with, oh, Gordon, you only have 5% in it. Oh, Ian, you're only putting 10,000 down. I have a value. What are you going to do? Where these sellers, they got nothing. They've already went through trying to list it. They realize there's no people to buy it. They're just willing to give you the house. So I like what you're saying, Jeff. There is a difference.
Yeah, I mean, just confront them with that. Say, listen, you told me you tried to sell this for 6 months and it didn't sell. So why are you acting this? What didn't work for you for the first 6 months, you're trying to throw on me.
Yeah.
Why would I do that?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
The market spoke clearly. You just didn't hear it.
Yeah, it barked.
Yeah.
And, and these people are like, oh, la la land. It's like, no, at some point the fit hits the shan and someone has to stay after school for detention. And that's these sellers are going to be in that boat, especially the arrogant, cocky ones who are like, just wait, I'll get a big price for it. I don't need to. Yeah. Well, the minute they say that, that's the desperate people. They're just lying to you.
Yeah. They just haven't.
And I've told people when they've told me that, I don't want to insult you, but I don't think you're being truthful to me. I don't think you're telling me everything that's going on. So why don't we talk about what's really causing you? Why did you try and sell it 6 months ago? Why do you want to sell it today?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't need the money, but you're frustrated because your realtor didn't do crap for 6 months,
Yeah.
and now you're trying to, get more out of me. Why? What's your goal? It didn't work then, it's not gonna work now. I'm smarter than that real estate guy. I got more options. Not necessarily smarter, but we got more options. We got a lot more options that realtors cannot do.
Correct.
Realtors can't buy houses, from these people. They just try and sell it and they put it together and, hopefully get something, blah, blah, blah. But this kind of economy collapses the real estate agent market. It shrinks it down because there's less place for them. The people who do well are the people who can come up with creative financing, aka what Blair and I call transactional engineering solutions.
Okay. Hey, I'm game. I'm sold.
Gordon said, "Won't the person I sell it to have the same problem? The house is underwater." It's not underwater because they're going to pay you a deposit. They're going to pay you a down payment equivalent to whatever it is above the mortgage amount. So by the time they pay that, they're right at water level. But it doesn't. But these people who will take advantage of that kind of thing, once they understand it, you make it clear, they don't care. I mean, same thing. It's a buy here, pay here car shop example. You go in, and it's like, okay, you need $1,200 to drive off today. It's going to cost you $400 a month. You'll never hear one of those buyers say, "But you want 14,000 for it." And I think it's only worth. Blue Book shows me it's only worth 10,800.
Mm-hmm.
So, listen, you can get it for 10.8 if you got cash. Do you have cash? You don't. Do you have credit? You don't. So I'm giving you both the cash and the credit and the house and everything. So, don't look a gift horse in the mouth, Mr. Buyer. The buyers don't do that. They really don't care. They are so hot to get these things closed. I mean, you mean I could get in? I remember this in 2003. There was so many people. It used to be there was this, what we called it, the Santa Claus effect. Starting almost the 1st of November until after Super Bowl, almost when Super Bowl was in January, people wouldn't do anything. And then all of a sudden in 2003, it totally changed. And it changed because there was a lot of properties that fell into this thing and a lot of people had to sell. And it was the same thing. I remember back, same thing, there was a bunch of cocky, arrogant people. Those are the guys who are going to die. They will hang on, they'll clutch all the way to the end. And they will end up with a huge loss. History repeats itself, everybody. I mean, there's nothing mysterious about it. It's as simple as history repeats itself. This market has happened dozens and dozens of times. I've seen 3 of them myself. Ron LeGrand's seen 5 or 6. So these markets, Bruce Norris, he's probably been through as much or more than Ron LeGrand. He's probably seen 8 or 9 of these things. So, it's crazy. But it's going to happen because it's happened before, and there's nothing that's been done that would change the trajectory of that market. In fact, we have actually worse conditions now.
Always a good time to be in the terms business.
This is a good time. This is when you load up with properties that you can either get a big paycheck up front, bigger than you're going to get on lease option. Remember, when people put money down as a down payment for a house, they're paying more down than security deposit. It's a significant sum. So you just got to tell them, listen, here's what it's going to take. But here's the beauty. You don't have to go to the bank. I'll give you the loan. I'll carry it for you. Actually, B of A will. I'm going to give you their coupon, but you don't have to go get another loan. So, I mean, who wants to own their own home without having to go to the bank and get a loan?
Hundreds of thousands.
Everybody. Yeah. As investors, we want as many of those as possible.
I've heard a stat, something like it was just astronomical. Like 66% of Americans don't wouldn't qualify for a loan, and there's another percentage up beyond the 66% who know they wouldn't even try because they know they wouldn't get it, right? So
Yeah.
it's just amazing, these stats.
That's your market, Ian. That is, and Sergey, that's your marketplace right there. It's those people. There's 75, 80% or more, probably 85 to 90% of the populace would love to be in a home but can't. Why?
Mhm.
They don't have credit, or they don't have, significant job income or
Right.
whatever. But when you tell somebody, listen, I got a chance, this will be the once in a lifetime opportunity. So I want you to really think about this hard. I'm going to sell you that house. It'll be yours. It'll be in your name by Christmas. And you don't have to go to the bank. I'm going to give you a loan on this thing.
Mhm.
And all you got to do is just pick up the payment coupon book and just make payments.
Hmm.
So it's like, yeah, 20 down. Why don't 20 down? Well, you have relatives, anybody who would love to see you. You've been trying for 10 years and you've been stuck in apartments or
Mhm.
rental homes. Here's your chance to own a new home, or, new to you
Mhm.
type thing.
Mhm. Hmm.
It's
Right.
it's probably one of the best plays in this market coming up that I've seen. Because it's, you can do 3 or 4 or 5 of these a month. You make 20 to 30K per deal.
Love it.
Yeah, and you don't have any tenant toilets, termite issues. You don't have to worry about putting a roof on, because listen, you just disclose, here's the things wrong with this property, but you're getting something for nothing, essentially.
Mhm.
You're getting it for the minimum down payment. And you're like, I can't do that. Grow up, man up, or whatever you got to tell them. Go find the money. Get rid of your toys. Go
Right.
talk to grandma. Look at your retirement account. There's a zillion ways to find the cash.
And they could find the money if it was that important to them.
Yeah, use the old Robert Allen thing. Listen, if your daughter was going to die in 30 days unless you came up with $40,000 for a life-saving surgery, would you figure out how to get that money? Sure, absolutely.
Right.
You'd do anything you could. Well, this is that deal right here. People die once and they get one shot at these kinds of things. You just happen to be, it's your turn at the bucket. So you're going to pay or pass.
Mhm.
Pick one, because there's a million people standing behind you who will take this deal.
Yeah, it's true.
You don't care. You're not promoting the house. You're not promoting anything other than the fact that we are the bank. We will finance it for you.
And there's people that would be like, "Oh, well, no, I need a 3-bedroom. Oh, it's too small. I don't like the way this." Like, okay,
They're
well, go
not
find.
motivated buyers.
Yeah,
They're not
exactly.
motivated buyers.
It's
They're
true.
just lookers and kickers and stickers. Forget those guys.
Yeah.
The ones who are motivated, they will climb over hot coals to find you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you can put an ad in Craigslist and get these people. You put an
Yes.
ad any place you want, Facebook Marketplace, whatever. Put signs around town. House for sale with financing. You'll get blown up. We literally had to create a voicemail that had like a 1 minute message about how the program worked, and they had to leave their name and number. This was back in the early 2000s. We didn't have the technology we did today, and we'd go in. I think it would hold like 200 calls, and 2/3 of the mornings the girls would come in and it would be plugged up. All 200 calls where somebody left a message. We had at one time, we had a waiting list of 5,000 people in essentially a 2 or 3 county area of California of buyers.
It's possible, guys.
Yeah. It's easy.
Cool.
It just takes a little shift in your mind. It's like, I didn't know that was a bad idea. I didn't know you could do that. Well, it doesn't mean it's not real. You can't see air, but you breathe every day, right? We know that's real. There's a whole bunch of things that you may not be aware of, but that are real. And this is one of them.
Mm-hmm. Gordon, I saw your comment here. So the down payment they give you goes partially to pay the difference between what's owed on the mortgage and what's it's worth, and the rest stays to me. So let me just let's talk about a deal specific. So let's just say let's take the deal that I had where the balance was 217 according to the seller, my friend handyman. 217 balance. So say I get to make math easy, I sell it for 237, 20,000 more. Okay. So I get a $20,000 down payment. So then I keep the 20,000 and they just take over my current stake in the loan. Right?
I'd make it even simpler than that. Say, listen, here's our program's so good because we're going to get you the financing. So all you got to worry about, get me the $20,000 and then you'll be totally financed because I approve you. You sound like a decent person. And you'll own a house. So you don't even have to talk about price. Price is irrelevant. Once again, think in terms of the buy here, pay here car lot. You will never hear somebody argue about the price of the car in a buy here, pay here car lot. These are desperate people who come in who need some help, at least at a minimum, and you're there to give them help. You are doing good work. You're doing good. You're helping people on both sides of the equation. But you've got to make it simple so they understand it. Don't talk about 32, 37. Give me $20,000. I'll give you the payment coupon book for Bank of America. It's all set to go. You just make payments and you can own the house. And the payments are $913 a month.
Mm-hmm.
It's not much to think about. You don't have to ask a lot of questions. There's no inspection of the house. It's like, I can really own a house and not have to go to the bank and not have my credit checked or anything. Yeah. If you got the 20K, you do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I never had, that I was aware of, because I did a bunch of these, I never had anybody default on making that payment. They treated, in fact, some cases, I marked it up so much that I would take 20 down and then I would give them a note. They would sign a note for another $20,000 payable at $200 a month till paid or whatever. Never, ever had somebody pop one of those mortgages or miss, not one time did anybody miss those second mortgage payments. I got paid in full for every one of those deals I did. The only time I can say in my entire career when I actually made money 100% of the time for everything I did. Can't do it in rehab. Can't do it in lease options.
Mm-mm.
Can't do it as a renter, as a landlord. But you can do it with this because you're getting paid all up front. And, if you throw a little extra on the back end and you have them make your monthly payments, they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And I got testimonials from all these people. They were like, Jeff and his girls saved me. We were desperate. We didn't know where to go. We didn't have, credit. And we didn't have the wherewithal to get this deal done. And we just walked in and our house was ours.
Love it.
It's hard to get testimonials out of buyers, but that's the way you can do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, let's think about that.
Love it.
Gordon's like, but they will be underwater. No, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. You're asking a question that is not germane to the topic. They could care less whether they're underwater or not because they're interested in a home that's warm, safe, and that they didn't have to go to the bank to make, to do a credit app or anything. They don't care. And it's not relative because today they may be underwater technically, and maybe for the next 4 or 5 years, but by 2028, expect this thing to be going back up the other way. So yeah, they're no wives today, but they hang on to it for 5 years, and all of a sudden they made a sweet deal. And we were like, we should have hung on to it for 5 years and rented it. But in my opinion, and for all my businesses and all my people, everybody will tell you what is Jeff's number one idiom. It is cash is king.
Mm.
And rule number 2 is look back at rule number 1. Cash is king. You can't beat having the cash in your pocket today.
Mm-hmm.
There's no better way to do that. This is why when you see like Blair's teaching IT, because he started in the same kind of thing. You make cash flow from flipping these houses. This is another way to flip it, essentially. You make cash flow from that, then you invest it in something that grows faster than the real estate. There's a ton of that type thing. So it gives you options that you don't have any, possibility of messing up if you just study it and do it right. It's not hard. Nothing really to study. You just got to get yourself used to something that you may not have been aware of 2 hours ago.
Jeff, you're on fire tonight. Well, it sounds like you got your 2026 strategy.
Yeah, I mean, why don't you go where the money is? Or why, it's like I've been waiting to go back into that. Now we do some other stuff, to rehabs and all that kind of stuff. But that stuff pales in comparison to what you can make using this model going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Now, will it last forever? No. Eventually the houses will start skyrocketing again. Mortgage rates will be in the dirt. But that's 2, 3, 4, 5 years off. In the meantime, take advantage of it. Know where you are in the marketplace, know where the marketplace is. We on these calls, we try and give you lots of training, education, where to look at these things. And, it's this is not rocket science. It is a repeat of history. And the rules are better for us now than they were in 2007 or 8. The rules are more favorable to real estate investors than they were, because banks can't hone in there. Banks understand this. They understand the value of money and time. And that's why these guys like Countrywide, they ran themselves out of business. They had to be acquired by Bank of America, but they ran themselves out of business because they got into the pigs eat and hogs get slaughtered model, and they got hoggy and they wanted it all for themselves. Well, it lost them the business, but they were making a ton of profit. They just got, the government just X'd them out of doing that kind of business anymore. Great, that's to our benefit. The only guys who can do that now, right here, people in our program who understand it. And it sounds like maybe Pace's deal, they're doing things differently though. They're doing it kind of traditionally the way we would do it, which is you buy subject to and then you sell it with some seller finance and different things. No, just make it a complete sale. Think of the buy here, pay here car lot, because that's the cleanest example. People don't go to a buy here, pay here car lot and then leave after they've been told, unless they don't have the money. They're like, okay, I want the car. Same people are like, yeah, I want the house. Okay, I don't have 20, but let me see what I can do. You got relatives, you got toys, you got motorhomes, you got motorcycles. If you want the house, you got to pay this. And if you don't, like I said, there's a list of 500 people down there waiting for me. So it's your chance. I'll give you an hour to think about it. And then I'm moving on, because you'll find them everywhere.